February 6, 1911, Ronald Reagan was brought into this world. Prior to his presidency, he served as 33rd governor of California. He was a radio, film, and TV actor, defeating Jimmy Carter. Then Ronald Reagan became president. Ronald Reagan, Nancy, Ronald Reagan, Ronald Reagan, Ronald Wilson Reagan.
How do you do, everybody? I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan was raised in a small town in Illinois. He became a Hollywood actor in his 20s, and from 1967 to 1975, he served as the Californian governor.
Governor Reagan, I now declare you to be duly installed as governor of the state of California.
While visiting California in 1937, he was asked to play a radio announcer in the film Love is on the Air. For many years, Reagan worked on as many as 4 to 7 movies a year. By the time he had acted in his last film, The Killers, in 1964, Reagan had appeared in over 50 films, and he had become a very famous movie star.
Elected president in 1981, he cut taxes, increased defense spending, and negotiated a nuclear arms reduction agreement with the Soviets.
Just over 2 months after his inauguration, he survived an assassination attempt by John Hinckley Jr. outside a hotel in Washington, D.C. Later, known for his humor, he told Nancy, "Honey, I forgot to duck."
Honey, I forgot to duck. Fun factoid of the day: Reagan really enjoyed jelly beans. His favorite flavor was licorice. He started eating jelly beans in 1967 to quit a pipe-smoking habit.
It's a beautiful day here in Washington, D.C., and here comes Ronald Reagan and his wife, Nancy. Yes, they look wonderful. And oh no! The president's been shot! He's been shot! He's on the ground! Nancy, no! What is going on? No! Everyone's yelling! What is happening? No! What? No! No! No!
Oh, Nancy! Honey, I forgot to duck. Ronald Reagan was one of the best presidents I have ever seen in my whole lifetime of 50 years. He's way up there with John McAdams and George W. Bush. He was a great president. He was great. He really made the country feel safe, and he really just, made it feel secure. And his wife was beautiful. She was a beautiful woman.
And you blamed the Congress. Does any of the blame belong to you?
Yes, because for many years I was a Democrat.
Reagan proposed a 3-year, 30% reduction in individual and corporate income tax rates. It was the biggest single tax cut in American history. The tax reductions affected especially the people who would be most likely to use the surplus income to invest in the economy. In July 1981, Congress approved Reagan's proposal after lowering the tax reduction to 25%. Ronald Reagan proposed a huge increase in the military budget, which was $1.5 trillion over 5 years. The increase in the military budget was to rebuild armed forces. Congress approved the increase. The Reagan administration changed the federal judiciary. By the time he left office, Reagan had named more than half of all the federal judges in the nation and 3 justices of the Supreme Court, including Anthony Kennedy, Antonin Scalia, and Sandra Day O'Connor, who was the first woman ever appointed. William Rehnquist became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Reagan's domestic economic policy was called Reaganomics, and he introduced his supply-side economics. Decreased marginal tax rates led to increased tax revenues, were prevented by a Democrat Congress, which continued to increase spending far beyond the additional tax revenues brought in. Debt and spending grew more. On August 3, 1981, Reagan held a press conference regarding the air traffic controllers strike. Then, on August 5th, Reagan fired 11,359 striking air traffic controllers to break their strike. Their strike was illegal under federal law. Breaking the strike had a significant impact on labor management relations in the private sector. It broke the striking union.
The foreign policy of the Ronald Reagan administration was the foreign policy of the United States from 1981 to 1989. It was characterized by a strategy of peace through strength. As part of the policies that became known as the Reagan Doctrine, the United States also offered financial and logistics support to the anti-communist opposition in Central Europe. Reagan escalated the Cold War with the Soviet Union. The administration implemented a new policy towards the Soviet Union through NSDD 32, National Security Decisions Directive, including depressing the value of Soviet commodities on the world market, increase American defense expenditures to strengthen the U.S. negotiating position, and force the Soviet to devote more of their economic resources to defense. Angola. The Communist People's Movement for Liberation of Angola, government in Angola, and Cuban and South African military intervention there led to decades of civil war that cost up to 1 million lives. The Reagan administration offered covert aid to the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, a group of anti-communist rebels led by Jonas Sembavibi. Libya. Relations between Libya and the U.S. under President Reagan were continually contentious, beginning with the Gulf of Sidra incident in 1981. Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi was considered by the CIA to be, along with USSR leader Leonid Brezhnev and Cuban leader Fidel Castro, part of a group known as the Unholy Trinity. In early April 1986, when a bomb exploded in Berlin, resulting in the injury of 63 American military personnel and the death of one serviceman, stating that there was irrefutable proof that Libya had directed the terrorist bombing, Reagan authorized the use of force against the country. In the late evening of April 15, 1986, the U.S. launched a series of airstrikes on ground targets in Libya. Philippines. The United States played a significant role in pressuring dictator Ferdinand Marcos to step down and in the peaceful transition to democracy in the Philippines, notwithstanding decades of past American support for his regime. When the People Power Revolution, Corazon Aquino's assumption into power marked the restoration of democracy in the country. Nicaragua. The Reagan administration lent logistical, financial, and military support for the Contras, based in neighboring Honduras, who waged a guerrilla insurgency in an effort to topple the Sandinista government of Nicaragua. This support was funneled through the CIA to the rebels and continued right through Reagan's period in office. In 1983, the CIA created a group of unilaterally controlled Latino assets, whose task was to sabotage ports, refineries, boats, and bridges, and try to make it look like the Contras had done it. In January 1984, these UCLAs carried out an operation for which would be best known as the mining of several Nicaraguan harbors, which sank several Nicaraguan boats and damaged at least 5 foreign vessels. This incident led to the ratification of the Boland Amendment by the U.S. Congress and brought an avalanche of international condemnation down on the United States. The CIA also provided training in arms as well as funding to the Contras. Grenada. Operation Urgent Fury was a 1983 United States-led invasion of Grenada, a Caribbean island nation with a population of about 91,000, located north of Venezuela. This resulted in a U.S. victory within a matter of weeks, triggered by a bloody military coup, which had ousted a 4-year revolutionary government. The invasion resulted in restoration of constitutional government.
I really respected the president because he was respected by a lot of foreign leaders, and he was an excellent communicator and a foreign diplomat. Reagan also improved foreign relations with foreign governments than any president in the 20th century, so yeah.
After the assassination attempt on your life, Mr. President, did your personal priorities change?
Well, no, I can't really say. I think I had them pretty well in line. But Merv, if I had to feel, after and as I learned later how close it was, I had to realize that any time I've got left, I owe to him.
A crisis president.
There wouldn't be any reason to be here if I didn't try to do the things that I actually believe will resolve this. You know, for years and years, long before I ever thought I'd even be governor of California, in fact, never wanted to be in public life, but I was out on the mashed potato circuit. I've always said that in Hollywood, if you don't sing or dance, you wind up as an after-dinner speaker.
Sure.